sir. Good evening. So nice to see you, sir, here. So honored that you came and on a request.
Mute now. How about that? Can you hear that distinctive voice now?
Yes, sir. So honored. So honored that you agreed to our request. So happy to see you here.
Thank you so much.
Well, an absolute pleasure to join fellow IPL fans the night before the big auction. I'm sure you're very excited, as am I.
So excitement has got doubled since you have joined us in this meeting.
Well, I'm delighted. I'm a man of my word. You invited me, Mukund. How could I turn down such an invitation? How's the mock auction going?
I was being
So we've almost reached 120, almost 90-100 players. We are on Fab du Plessis.
Okay. And how much did Rishabh Pant make?
So 27.5 crores.
Okay.
To Punjab Kings.
Yeah, well, they're the ones who've got the purse tomorrow, haven't they?
Yeah, RCB is going to and Punjab are going to get some big buys tomorrow, hopefully.
Okay, interesting. And English players, tell me, I've got to talk to the BBC in the morning. They'll want to know about Liam Livingston looking promising.
He was sold at a very high price, at 15-16 crores. He was sold to Hyderabad.
Was he?
The Phil Salt went for 17.5 crores, sir.
Phil Salt. Okay, good.
I was one who got Phil Salt.
Yeah, I think that's a good buy. I think he's great. He's a good player. Who picked up Josh Butler?
Butler went to who got Butler?
Gujarat Titans. You could see that sheet. We have written all the players there.
Butler was going to Gujarat at 17 crores. He was sold.
17 crore. He'd be happy. Okay, right. How interesting. Yeah.
Hopefully, but he'll be making it to RCB tomorrow. Hopefully, he'll be going to RCB.
Okay, good.
As a KKR fan, I hope not. He comes and captains us.
Oh, right, interesting. Yeah, indeed. Good. So you've all been IPL fans all your lives. You've watched the tournament and the auction, I guess, since many of you were small boys.
So we have
the average age of you, certainly, because let me just run through a little, because I don't know even how old you were when the first ever IPL auction was held. It was held in Mumbai. How old are you?
I was not even there, sir. I was not even born, sir.
You weren't even born. I don't believe it.
Yes, sir. We were so small. I was almost 1 year or about, somewhat like that.
Well, okay, let me tell you about the first ever IPL auction. It was held in Mumbai. It was held in the ballroom of the Oberoi Hilton. It was so... When the teams turned up, they had no names. They were just called after the city which owned them. And they had bidding paddles that were made, I think, by school children. So here is the original bidding paddle.
Wow, it's so nice to see this.
For the RCB, and imagine that, RCB, and it's 2 pieces of polystyrene that have been stuck together, and then it's been signed by the members of IMG who organised the auction, and they presented it to me. You will all be familiar with. And the next player out of my hat, it's player number 376. So you're used to these bales, which have been used for many years. However, do you know what we used in the first ever IPL?
Yes, small balls and small miniature bats we used. Yeah.
That's it. So we used miniature balls in the first one, and then the miniature bats. I mean, actually not so miniature. I mean, probably, they're about 15 inches tall. So this was, obviously anything that I have is from an unsold player, because the winning bidders always keep the names of the players that they buy. So if you remember the bats that came out, and then the following year they produced for one season only, and when DLF was sponsoring it, these players' balls and in tiny writing, they put the player's name onto the book, but I couldn't actually read the names. They were so small, so I had to stick numbers onto them, put sticky numbers on, so I could then at least know what the player's number was. Perhaps the most famous piece of IPL memorabilia is this here. This is the original.
The most famous one.
Yeah, the original IPL gavel used for me in all 11, the first 11 auctions. People say, oh, it's not very big, it's not very heavy, but a good IPL gavel should just fit nicely into your hands. It's a bit like a cricket bat. It doesn't have to be heavy. You hope it'll become like a wand. And then from the first ever IPL auction, I've got the sheets here, and this is my reserve sheets. I'm given 2 sets of sheets before each auction. I've got the original ones that are filled in my childish handwriting, and this is my reserve copy as well. So there's lots of memorabilia in my collection. But the most extraordinary thing we've got is 1 year, for some reason, IMG thought they'd use stumps. Can you see it? It's almost like a full-size stump. And I would pick these stumps out of the bag, and I'd have to pull, the top of the stump off. And the player's name was revealed inside the cricket stump itself. Again, Daniel Harris didn't get picked up in that auction, but I have all these items here just as pieces of IPL auction memorabilia. I've got more bales than anybody's ever collected before, 2 or 3 from every auction. And so, it's going to be a big day tomorrow. Thank you for inviting me to join you. I've got to do some BBC work now, and obviously that's why I'm picking your brains about the English players, because the BBC in England obviously want to know, and if I can tell them that Phil Salt did very well in a mock auction in India this evening, as indeed with the... Oh, what about Harry Brook?
Harry Brook.
Yeah.
Harry Brook.
Goodbye. No, Harry Brook, he's got great potential. Good. So, look,
I'll be waiting for Jacob. But
any final questions? A quick question. If you got anything about the IPL or being an auctioneer, otherwise I've got to run off.
So, which one player you are looking forward tomorrow? The one player that you really want in some particular side?
Oh, well, it's a slightly it's a tricky question because now I'm from England, therefore I am probably going to be biased towards an English player, and I had picked Liam Livingstone when I was asked today by an English broadcasting company, and I've got to go on the radio later on and talk. So I'm going to go for Liam Livingstone, and that's my final answer on that. But of course, Rishabh Pant's going to be it's going to be another almost an MS Dhoni moment, isn't it?
So how about Joe Frazier?
How about who?
Joe Frazier.
Well, that's a very good question. Now, I've got a feeling he's come into the auction very, very late. His player number is 576, isn't it? He's coming up in the fast bowling section. He's very injury prone.
Yes,
he had a fantastic IPL in about 2020. Hasn't done a lot since then. But I know that the reason that he's come into the auction is because of that ruling whereby if you don't make yourself available as a player in the mega auction, you cannot come into the 2 subsequent auctions. So he's been advised this, so I imagine that somebody like Rajasthan Royals or MI have said to him, put your name in to the auction tomorrow. You might not sell, you might not get picked up. However, if you don't get sold tomorrow, there's always an auction next year and the year after. So that way, he is keeping his options open. But I think he's just too much of a liability regarding his potential injuries.
So, which is one player that you?
One last question for you, sir. Wait, Mukund. One last question for you, sir. Which many IPL fans wants to know, sir. Which is your favorite IPL team, sir?
Yes, I know. Everybody asks me. Yeah, it's a very, yeah, indeed. Yeah, and people say, well, obviously, it's got to be Mumbai Indians because, my son was working with the Mumbai Indians back in 2010, and then others say, well, of course, Manoj Badal, the owner of the Rajasthan Royals, and then, of course, Ravichandran Ashwin reminded me in Chennai there's a street called the Madley underpass, and then the Kolkata Knight Riders have every year have sent me a shirt, a Knight Riders shirt with my name on the back of it. So listen, it's a very diplomatic, but it's a very true answer. That I get on really well with all of them. I have been to I've watched live every team, and very diplomatically, I say that I love cricket, not one franchise over another. So on that note, I am going to sign off. As a man of my word, I said I'd join you, and it's been a great privilege. I've got some more media work to do now, and then of course tomorrow is a big day. I'm starting early on again with the BBC, watching from afar. So I wish you all the best of luck. And in the words of the Hammerman, he's going once, he's going twice. Sold. Don't forget that.
That was so nice, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. It was a pleasure having you. Thanks.
Absolute pleasure. Nice to talk to all of you.
Thank you, sir.